TGNT show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discussion is advice. Live long and prosper.
Shall we just start right off the bat with a Las Vegas update?
Are we still talking Vegas, right?
We are.
Talking about Vegas.
Yes. You're coming to Vegas, right? Star Trek Las Vegas may take place every August, but on this show...
This is where we hang out the rest of the year.
Exactly.
The crew has been fatigued now from so many months in space, and they need to take a break. The landing party has been down to check out the terrain while the crew gets ready to play. They say there's only plant life living on this lovely rock, but a rodent up here's wearing a vest.
And Jolan True citizens, welcome to Star Trek Las Vegas 2015. This is Gettysburg 7, alongside the lovely, the talented Terry Lynn. I was going to say him.
You saw it. I saw it. He saw it. But hey, everyone. How are you doing? Today we are so happy to have back with us Thomas Marrone from Star Trek Online. You now has moved from... Now, are you just doing ships now, babe? Or what are you doing? Ships.
Like, oh no.
Oh.
Look at Thomas.
Party foul. Party
It's
foul.
all right. You can leave them down. It's cool. They're aerials anyway.
Did you say party foul?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm full-time on the ship team now. It's been that way since about November, actually.
It really has been, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And since then, you have been kind of, I don't know, one of the things we always get to talk to you about is all the new art that came out, but now we get to talk to you about all the new ships that are coming out.
Yeah. No, it's fun. It's people are more interested about ships than they are about icons, so it's in terms of talking about it, it's a little more fun. I think people are excited about the new ships and things like that. I certainly am.
Well, I have to say, Thomas, I've been extraordinarily impressed by the work that you've been able to produce. The new it's the Akira variant that's come out.
Right.
The new Tier 6 Akira,
The Alita.
The Alita class, and I always say it's and I wanted to make sure I said it right because I don't. To be honest with you, my brain's a little fried. But she's so beautiful, and it's like one of the sexiest ships that we've got in the game right now.
So sovereign.
But it's coming out in a set of 3, like most of the Tier 6 ships are.
Right.
One for each specialty, correct? Can you give us a little bit of information about the Alita class?
Sure. Well, it's a heavy escort carrier, so it's following in the tradition of the Armitage, which was a T5 carrier variant that came out, probably
The one that was loaded with bear. Remember that. Right.
Yeah.
And the bears were in the cannons.
And you can actually use the console from the Thunderchild, the Point Defense Death Blossom console, and the torpedo console from the Armitage. They can load those up on the Alita. I think the set bonuses are different. The Klingon ship, the Jaul or something, I forget how to pronounce it, is a flight deck Raptor. And then there's a heavy escort carrier Warbird. I can't recall the name of that off the top of my head right now, but yeah, so each faction got their own version of this heavy escort carrier Tier 6 thing. So, but the Alita can use the old consoles, and it has a new console as well, and it has a trait that helps improve your pets. If you
that's cool.
Yeah, so the mastery trait for the Alita, I believe, if you activate something like cannon rapid fire, it might be scatter volley, I'm a little vague, or beam overload, I think your pet will use that. If they have cannons or beams, they'll use the appropriate.
Okay, well that's really, really, really cool.
Yeah,
Again, one of my favorite styles of ship, and again, I don't know why everybody locked onto it when we did, but I did, and definitely one of those styles of ships that I just love the look of, and that's why I love to fly it. What else have you been working on?
Well, we just did the Alita came out, and as part of that, I wanted to make sure that the Canon Akira model kind of matched better what it looked like in the movie movies in First Contact when it released. So I actually revamped the Canon model, and you can use the Canon Akira skin with the Alita if you want. So that's a whole new like high detail revamp, like I did with the Galaxy a few months back when we released the Andromeda. It's every time we do a Tier 6 ship, it's not every time, but any time that I work on one, I want to be able to look at the old, like the current in-game model of the Canon version of that ship and see, does this pass muster with kind of quality we're doing lately? And in the case of the Akira and the Galaxy and some others, they were pretty dated models.
So really what you're doing is you're going back to the ships that people already have or may have in their, I don't want to say inventory, but in their garage, that are in their fleet, and you're sprucing up the look and doing another pass on them.
Yep, absolutely. And some of our older ships actually look pretty good. Like the Ambassador model is pretty old, but the guy who did it did a great job. That's not going to get another pass because it looks perfect.
Looks great.
So not every ship is going to need that, but there are some ships that came out with the launch of the game that they only had a few days to work on them or something, so they're missing a lot of detail and they're not very accurate. So I love the ships, and that's my passion for Star Trek. So I want to make sure that when you get those ships, and because you're paying a lot of money for these ships, and you want them to look awesome. And some people like the new Tier 6 stuff, but some people prefer the Canon design. So we want to make sure the Canon design looks as good as it can and really represents.
What are you finding, if you even have, are the most popular ships that people have? Because I know, like our fleet, a lot of people love the Excelsior.
We did the Resolute. Ian Richards, Jam Jams, did that. And Hector Ortiz is a concept artist who kind of works on the concept for a lot of these ships. I collaborated with Hector on the Alita design, so he contributed something, I contributed something. But yeah, there people have their favorites. I think the Excelsior is a big favorite. I think obviously the Armitage was a really big deal for a lot of people.
Loved it.
And there are ships that we haven't gotten Tier 6 versions of yet that were always really popular, like the Galaxy Dreadnought. That's a fan favorite. So some of it is stats, like a ship will come out and they'll be like, oh, you got to have that because it's the best. Like I think a lot of people like the pilot ships because they're really fun to fly and the abilities they have are really exciting. And some of it I think is the classic, just like, well, I've always wanted to fly a Galaxy class, and so that's
why I love the Sovereign. I always wanted to fly the Sovereign.
I just want to make sure I have it correct in my head that you're saying that if I'm flying if I get a Tier 6 of the Alita class, that I will still have the ability to put the old skin on it.
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
The Alita uses, I'm not going to get in the back end, but it uses the same stuff as all the other Akira variants. So if you have the three free Akira variants, so the Canon Akira, the Oslo, and the what's the other one? Anyway, there are three of them, and one of them kind of looks like the Norway, and the other one kind of looks like the Steamrunner. But they're not quite. So those three, those are free because that the Tier 2 Akira, those are the costumes came with that. Then if you bought the Thunderchild, you can use the Thunderchild parts, and if you bought the Armitage, you can also use the Armitage parts. So actually the Alita, and then the Alita parts, all of those ship parts you can use on the Alita if you want.
That's really cool.
If you have,
that's really nice. Well, it gives you the ability to feel like you're not losing anything if you've purchased the previous ships.
Exactly.
I love the point defense system. I don't use it that much, just because it's a slot, but I love it.
Yeah. It feels great.
I use it. So I know.
If I'm gonna PvP against James Kerwin, I might buy Thunderchild to put on my Sovereign as well. Buy Thunderchild to get the skin, the spread, to put on my ship, and then teach him a lesson with some plasma.
Yeah, the Alita was fun because I've always wanted to do gull wings on a Federation starship, and so it's almost a little Romulan-y, and part of the exactly. The fiction in my head was things are starting to converge with the Iconian War, and factions are cooperating more and more. So I mean, there was never a specific art direction. Nobody told me to to do this, but I thought it'd be cool with the Alita to push the Federation look a little bit.
Sharing of technology.
Yeah, exactly. And so have it,
Well, and that also harkens back to Deep Space Nine with the cloaking, and they had the Romulan on board because they didn't trust him. So it's illogical, especially with the Romulan Republic.
Right, exactly. And I think that's one of the great things to kind of go off on the rails here. What do you guys squirrel it? To chase a squirrel. But
he knows us so well.
Yeah. In general, the story trend of STO about all the factions starting to come together and cooperate, I think is great. It's great that that's the direction that STO is headed, where it's less about this conflict, but all these people are setting aside their differences towards a common goal, and I think that's a cool trend for Star Trek storytelling.
I agree.
Now, you're so passionate about the ships, and we talk, and I give you a hard time, but that's because you're like a brother to me.
Right.
You go home and you think about this even when you're home, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been thinking about we schedule things out pretty far in advance, so I know 2 or 3 months down the road what I'm gonna be working on. So in my head, I'm starting slowly turning over well, what can I do for that? There's some stuff coming up that of course I can't talk about, but I'm really excited to be working on, and I think people are gonna like it when we get it out there. But yeah, I think about it, and I study it, and it's kind of a joke, like you said. You go home and think about it. I spend a lot of extra hours at work to do all these canon revamps and stuff. A lot of that is stuff I do because I just want to make sure that STO is the best Star Trek game it can be, and so just put in the extra time to redo these old ships for people that really love them.
Well, it's still the most beautiful game I've ever seen.
Well,
seriously.
and that's seriously one thing. Message board trolls, this is directed at you. You zero out, all of you. We'll be chatting on Twitter, and you guys are still at work, and it's 9 o'clock your time because you don't leave. You love what you're doing.
Yeah, the lazy devs is a trigger word for me. I get so angry when I read that in the forums or something. It's people they could fix this, but they're just a bunch of lazy devs, and I just get really frustrated because a lot of people put in a lot of extra hours to make the game as good as it can be, and it's obviously not perfect. Video games are very complicated, lots of moving parts, lots of
people think it's easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah,
it really isn't. But at the same time, I'm glad that you guys get to come to a place like Star Trek Las Vegas and be reminded about how much how much the fandom loves you, how much the people love the game, the players who stop by the booth and remind you. Yeah, sure, there's always going to be the couple that come by and drop off the little hints about what they don't like or whatever.
Right.
But for the most part,
then you got people like Laura that we interviewed who made the Odyssey.
Yeah, that was so cool.
When you see people, I'm kidding you not, everybody, all of our listeners, there are so many STO uniforms floating around right now. It's really awesome. And to see the Odyssey formal uniform that was so beautiful.
Cool. And
to go back a couple of years ago when that one woman was wearing the STO uniform and we were all pumped.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing at Baltimore Comic-Con, AwesomeCon, people wearing STO uniforms.
Yeah,
it just shows an enormous acceptance by the wider majority of Trek fandom. So.
And it's exciting for me because I actually helped design the Odyssey uniform, and I pitched it to the art lead, Brad, at the time, who was here last year. He let me basically work on standardizing it so that it was, everybody, all the Federation characters in that STO were using the Odyssey, and I think
that chart and everything.
Yeah, I did the uniform code, and that was really important because it's such an immersive. I think it really improved the immersion of the game to have that standardized. Because if you watch the show, it's a uniform, it's a military uniform, and there might be different. You have a mess dress version, and you have a regular service version. You might have a working jumpsuit version, and so having those distinctions is good, but there's still a theme and consistency across all of it. And so
because I just got back in game, as you know, Satan on Kobali Prime, he doesn't come out of what I call the Odyssey Tactical now, the one with the cargo and all that. He's living in that right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's my favorite thing to do. Is one of my things I love about doing now is when I'm at ESD, I'll be wearing my regular duty uniform, and then when I go down to a battle zone or something, it's I gotta change into my my BDUs basically, and so doing that is cool.
The Odyssey long and and all of that.
And then Brad Stokan, the former art lead, he designed the Odyssey dress and the Odyssey excursion uniform and did a great job with how those looked, and it just I think it makes the texture of the universe richer, when you have details like that.
Well, it certainly makes a difference to a player when they beam down to ESD and see all the NPCs who are wearing consistent normal uniforms, and especially when they change into one that looks like it, then you realize an immersion can be an important thing to a player.
Yeah.
Not always, and we forgive those who don't care, but that's okay. I know before the Alita, what was the ship that came out before that?
Let's see.
There's been a lot.
Yeah. So the Alita, I did the Manticore.
Oh yeah.
Which was the T6 vet version of the Chimera. And then I did the Andromeda and the Pathfinder.
Right.
And then I did the Klingon pilot ships.
Which I have not flown. I've only flown the Federation ones.
Yeah, I mean, they fly the same way pretty much, but
right.
I did the Klingon versions. And I did some other stuff that we haven't put out yet. I can't talk about.
Yeah, we can't talk about those. We can't talk about things, people. I'm just saying. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be awesome, because they are, and I can tell you right now they're going to be awesome. I have my suspicions. I have no knowledge. I have my suspicions of what those might be, and all I can say is I'm very excited to see. And I know that the new featured episode comes out next week, and then season 11. Is that it? Oh my God, 11? No, 12. What are we up to?
11.
11. Thank you. Where am I? It's the end of the day, folks. We're getting tired. And it was announced yesterday, and congrats on the whole team.
Thanks.
And the end of the Iconian War is near, but not quite over.
Right.
But New Dawn will come soon.
Yep.
And
it'll be out the fall of this year. And we'll be wrapping up the Iconian War arc and starting something, a brand new adventure. So,
brand new adventure.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And one thing I did do that I'll tease is obviously I did the Krenim time ship that you see. You see it under construction in.
He hasn't played it yet.
Okay. Well, you see it under construction in the Krenim base, and so that was a lot of fun because that's a very kind of obscure ship. So it's fun to get to do those kind of obscure canon ships, especially it's something that looks totally different from a lot of other Star Trek ships. So.
Which has got to be actually probably a creative dream to be able to just kind of go, I get to work on something completely different, and stretch and stretch it out a little.
Poetic ship.
They have them,
but I want it to blow up and the whales to come floating.
I would love for us to do like a Zindi Aquatic storyline. No, the storyline, like what if the whale probe comes back and it's actually involved with the Zindi Aquatics, and
that would be awesome.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
See, story idea. Listen. Again, we're gonna tie it up here with Thomas, but we want to say thank you very much for joining us as always.
It's a pleasure.
And again, congrats on all of the beautiful ships that you've been making. They're just gorgeous, and we're very, you're just like you're just one of the family, and it's always nice to have you on.
Yeah.
So, congrats, and a New Dawn comes out
in the fall.
Yeah.
I
don't think we have a hard date yet. Right. We don't have a hard date, everybody, but we do know that it comes out in the fall. And thanks again for listening. Until then, live long and prosper.
Jolan True, citizens.
I do not listen to the GNT show.
Oh,
Music for the G&T show is provided by Warp 11, Andrew Allen, Grethor, and 5 Year Mission. This has been a Busy Little Beaver production.
Some dude walks out, proceeds to explain what it's all about. I sure want to leave. I think you'd agree, but we cannot leave till Jones is now alive, so it's okay for him to say, I'm a doctor, not a shish kebab. Apparently it's okay if we trust an unknown race who can read any one of our thoughts. So be careful what you wish for in this land of dreams come true, 'cause you just might get what you want.